Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I feel honored to talk to you today. I sincerely hope that what I'm going to share with you is just the beginning of what I see as a new way of understanding and experiencing our consciousness. Let's first go back to that day when, after years of struggle, months of depression, and on the verge of suicide, my life changed completely. On March 10th, 1992, I experienced something I had no idea was possible. I am an artist, as Bonnie introduced me, painter, and at that time, I was renting an attic in an old Victorian house in Los Angeles. I could not stand my life anymore, and I was rushing to the store to get razor blades and end it. While still in the house and passing by the bathroom, I suddenly decided to take a shower in the hope of soothing my emotions. Collapsing in the tub, I tried to deal with the violent urge that made me want to kill myself. For years, I used a rather subconscious method of dealing with my emotional pain by focusing on my art. Now, I needed to apply this method consciously as my emotions were overpowering and uncontrollable. With all of my mental effort, I decided to see into the emotion that was affecting me so badly. It was painful, but I was able to see through it and give it a name. As soon as I called it depression, I felt I got a grasp on it. I saw it covering me up like a dark cloud and realized that that cloud was not me. I decided to try to move away from it. And indeed, I stepped out of it quickly and found myself in an unusual space. It felt like a vacuum and was empty of any emotions. I called it emptiness. The horrible emotion kept on coming back, so I repeated the process of stepping out of it until I was steadily dwelling in a neutral state of emptiness, just breathing slowly. My mind, however, did not stop urging me and giving me very convincing reasons to get out of the tub and run to get the razor blades. I tried to figure out how I ended up this way, but my reasoning kept on returning to the same conclusion. The only right thing to do was to end my life. Eventually, although unwillingly, I surrendered to that thought. After a while, with my eyes closed, resigned, I opened my eyes. In front of me, on the white background of the tub, was a rope of rainbow light dancing peacefully. It seemed to be coming out of me. There were no rainbows anywhere close to my imagination. My life was done, and there was nothing colorful about it. The longer I watched the beautiful light, the more scared I became. It was not of the world I knew. It was real, but so truly supernatural. Frantically jumping out of the tub in horror, I noticed that the rainbow was moving with me. It was a part of me, and I could not get away from it. I was about to scream in panic, but then I conquered my fear and sat down, waiting for whatever else would happen. During the next 20 minutes, I was able to experience my consciousness traveling through what I soon called dimensions of perception. At first, images resembling short video clips started to appear in front of my eyes, and after a while, I realized I was watching my life from my earliest childhood thoughts and decisions. Although it may sound crazy, I was able to follow each of my thoughts throughout my whole lifetime until each of them reached the present time and instantly vanished. Clarity and joy replaced the vanished thoughts. My life became resolved and complete. In a sweeping motion, my ego, which I saw as a dried up shell covering me, fell off me. I realized that if this happened to me, it can happen to anyone. In the next several magical minutes, I received support and grace. I found eternal love. From being suicidal some minutes before, I was now joyous, elated, and in love. In the subsequent stage of my experience, mesmerized, I listened to a heavenly orchestra and was greeted by ascended masters, not knowing at the time who they were. I understood that my passage was acknowledged by the group. In the following new stage, there was a visionary scene, and I found my essence in the matrix of creation, able to look down into all of the previous stages of my transformation. I saw through the illusion of our common reality and the illusion of time. As the visions continued, I kept asking questions and receiving revelatory answers. Then something even more unimaginable took place. In a silent but immensely powerful inner explosion, my soul self-realized as an eternal being. I kept on asking questions. Eventually, after getting an answer to one question, I realized that I instantly became that answer itself. From then on, I tried to, but was unable to find any more thoughts. A sudden flood of light engulfed me, and my consciousness united with all that is. I entered a state of bliss and full awareness. And my life changed forever. I comprehended every step of the process, even if I had no words to express it. Although I knew that the experience was not describable in its entirety, I hoped that someday I'd be able to present some of it with as much clarity as possible so others can use my insights to their benefits. The transformation I went through has been manifesting in my life ever since. It is impossible to list all of the changes, but in short, on a physical level, my energy increased tremendously. I was always physically fit, but the change caused by the experience was very surprising. My boundless high energy decreased only after 3 decades of relentless athletic activities. On an emotional level, all of the problems that had been dragging me down for years simply disappeared. Negative emotions naturally came up in some situations, but had nothing to adhere to. They were noticed, but then were quickly gone. My mind became clear, and I set out to realize my dreams fearlessly. The dreams were coming through magically, and their reality surpassed my expectations. Knowing about sacred love, feeling it, and feeling loved changed my view on myself and others. I began to cherish the love and cultivate it naturally. All of my relationships improved. I began to help others with my insights, Also, my psychic powers and connection with spirit guides were enhanced as well. I became deeply happy, spending time contemplating, living a peaceful and fulfilling life. As you probably realize, there are many important aspects of this phenomenon that are impossible to explain in this short talk. But let me share with you my basic interpretation of the experience and, importantly, point at the universal process of Kundalini rising from a somewhat different than usual perspective. First of all, Kundalini, meaning coiled up in Sanskrit, is usually considered to be a dormant energy that awakens and uncoils under some circumstances. In my experience and observation, this energy is simply our individual consciousness. All that you are and know is your Kundalini. Therefore, I call it an individual unit of consciousness. What we see here is a simple image of the subtle body, which consists of Kundalini energy and chakras. That's Kundalini energy and chakras. Kundalini normally rests at the bottom of the spine. According to the ancient knowledge, each chakra relates to a different part of our bodies and affects different aspects of our lives. It is known from the mystical traditions of ancient India that when Kundalini awakens and is able to move all the way through each chakra, one may become spiritually enlightened. We also know that there are many instances when Kundalini awakens, but moves only a part of the way. Kundalini is consciousness, but it also needs to be understood as spirit. According to my understanding, from being formless and without any attributes, once in the body, our spirit becomes survival, sexual, and creative. Although chakras can very well be seen as energy centers, I assign to them another, even more important function. During my experience, not knowing anything about chakras, I could observe my consciousness transiting through different worlds. Therefore, I see chakras as the personal gates to the ever-present universal dimensions of perception. During our lifetimes, we experience our existence through the chakras as a fusion of the dimensions of perception. Now let's look into the dimensions quickly. The first chakra is the gate to the first dimension, all of the material world, including our bodies, everything from cosmos to particles smaller than atoms. The second dimension is emotional. It ranges from the most unhappy to the happiest. Emotions monitor us constantly and affect our decisions all the time. Unresolved emotions get stored in the second chakra. The third dimension is the mind and will. We tend to understand life through its perspective and try to live by its measures. The mental structures that create our personalities are stored in this chakra and condition our decision-making. The dominance of the first three chakras is what is known as ego. The sub-dimension of the third dimension is time. The other dimensions exist without time. The fourth dimension is the sphere of eternal love, something that spiritual teachers, Jesus Christ, Buddha, and many others have been teaching us for millennia. If our Kundalini is able to break through the lower chakras and enter the fourth one, or if our fourth chakra is fully open anyway, our life experience becomes sacred. We know we are loved and are free to love all of life by the sacred grace we are given. The fifth dimension is about exchange of energy. Here we have the sound, dance, and performance, spiritual healing, psychic powers, connections with beings from other galaxies, spirits who come to help us, and as well meetings with evil entities. The Akashic records, a library of every event that ever took place in the past, present, or future, are to be also found in this dimension. The sixth dimension is of vision and intuition. It is the third eye. This image of the subtle body comes from the visionary projection in that dimension. In the sixth dimension, we engage in our own investigation into the depth of our consciousness. We intuitively decipher mystical visions and symbols, concepts and whole systems of esoteric sciences such as astrology, numerology, sacred geometry, tarot cards, and more. Here we meet with archetypes and mythologies, explore the power of religions together with all of the gods, goddesses, and deities. In one of the last layers of the transit through the sixth dimension, our consciousness, which started the journey as an uncoiling Kundalini, self-realizes as an immortal soul. If our immortal soul continues to ask the right questions, the right answer will appear, and the seventh chakra will burst open. Here, our consciousness unites with all that is in omnipresent explosion of light, in absolute awareness and bliss. One becomes a conscious creator, engaged in the continuous, inspired act of creating by simply being one with all that is. The seventh dimension is our higher mind. This mind is actively yet peacefully witnessing. While the third chakra mind identifies, the seventh chakra discerns. In the seventh dimension, we find the deepest universal spiritual truths that make us experience our higher self. The ultimate goal of Kundalini rising is not a temporary state of nirvana when our fully awakened consciousness unites with all there is. The final goal is to make the experience stable and elevate the seat of consciousness from the sacrum area to the heart area. From the seat in the heart, we can reach lower and upper dimensions at any time and live in communion with human and God equally. I have a couple of statements ending my talk today. The first one, we are the creators of life as much as we are being created. Regardless how advanced on the spiritual path we are, there is always need to practice. And the unfathomable greatness of spirit is for us to celebrate. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope you found value in this presentation. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. If you would like to learn more about my work, please visit my website, moniquerebelle.com. Maybe sign up for a free orientation session so we can talk about how we can maybe work together. My book, Transcendence Calling, The Power of Kundalini Rising and Spiritual Enlightenment, is available on Amazon. Or if you would like me to sign your copy, you can do it from my website. Thank you.